15th, 2025 regular meeting of the Coffee County Board of Education. We got quite a few recognitions tonight, but first we're going to start off with our student ambassadors, but we got one. We have Riley Clark, who has been with us before, so welcome back, Riley. And this is just so much fun, you just had to come back, right? All right, so we have quite a few recognitions. We're going to change up the agenda a little bit because of the availability of some folks and stuff. We're going to move Dr. Cornelius to kind of the end just before our regular agenda. And we're going to start off with the attendees of the SCOPE convention. Then we're going to talk the school level teacher of the year, the district level teacher of the year, then the CHS Winter Color Guard. And then we're going to do Dr. Cornelius's presentation before we get into our regular meeting. So a lot of recognitions tonight, and thanks for everybody for coming out and recognizing all our people we're recognizing tonight. So first up, the attendees of the SCOPE convention, and who's going to introduce?
I'll introduce everyone.
All right.
All right. Today we have our student body vice president, Miss Mallory Rogers, or president. I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, wait a minute. Before we go, I always forget this. We need to do the Pledge of Allegiance and a prayer first. So Beth, if you would lead us in a prayer to start the meeting.
Father, thank you for our opportunity to get here together and to do our very best to bless our community, our teachers, our students, and staff. I ask for wisdom for the board tonight, that we would be in unity and that we would hear your voice on how you want us to vote for certain issues. Father, I thank you that you are present with us in this meeting, and we really appreciate it. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I always want to put that after the recognitions for some reason, so my apologies. Okay. Now you have the floor.
Absolutely. So my name is Miss Madison Taylor. I am the Student Council or Student Government Association advisor this year. And with me today, who were our attendees of the SCOPE conference, were Miss Mallory Rogers, who is our student body vice president, Kira McInturf, who is our sophomore class president, Lucas Turner, who is our junior class president, and Miss Riley Clark, who is our senior class president. So they will share a little bit about their experience with you all.
All right, can you give us a little background on the SCOPE conference for the folks who may not know?
Absolutely. So for those of us who are not aware of the SCOPE conference, it is an event that the Tennessee School Board Association puts on that is called Student Congress on Policies in Education, where schools across the state attend and learn all about school board policies, how school boards work in general, and just some different skills that our students will share with you all about.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Mallory. Nice to meet you guys. So I'm going to be talking about like the schedule throughout the day. First, we had registration where Belmont provided us breakfast, and after breakfast, we had the general opening session where we were met with school board members from across the state. They just told us a little bit about themselves and how their school boards work. And then Belmont University had some representative as well to welcome us to campus, tell us where things were and what we'd be kind of doing throughout the day. After that, we broke into small groups where we had our mock school board meetings. We set it up how a regular school board meeting was. We voted on delegates and we discussed our debate topics. After that, we prepared for our debate session. Your group was either a pros group or a con group. And after that, you combined with you had a partner group. So you'd be combined with the second pros group or the second con group on the same topic. You guys would discuss who was going to talk about what and prepare for the final debate session. And then After that, we all joined back together in the auditorium and had the debate session where we got to vote personally through our phones on who won the debate session. And then after that, we voted on the scope officers for the year. There were 5 officers, I believe. There was a president and a few others. And then after that, we were adjourned. So.
All right.
Hi, I'm Kira. I'm going to be telling you what we learned at Scope. Scope was very interesting. It taught us about leadership and professionalism. And as a sophomore, I haven't been to any school board meetings, and I haven't been in any debate, anything like that. So they really taught us how to debate respectfully and professionally, and it was really interesting to see how school board meetings work and how to actually debate.
I'm Lucas Turner. I'm going to be going over the debate topics we had. So initially in our small groups, the first thing we went over was the vaping policy. We addressed that, and we made adjustments to our own policies and introduced it to the main group in the auditorium later on. And then for the main debate topics on the stage that our small groups split up into to have, we had all students must complete at least one post-secondary course in high school. Uniforms shall be worn by all students. The school calendar shall be increased to 180 to 200 days, and every student must complete 30 hours of community service as per graduation requirement. And I would like to say, out of all the things I've gone to this year, school events, I think this has been the most informative. I've learned the most from it, so it was good.
I'm Riley Clark. Basically the same thing as him. Going into it, we really didn't know what it was, but after we went on the way home, we were all like, that was really cool. We learned a lot from it. It was really beneficial. It was very interesting. So, yeah.
All right, thank you. Certificates, right? Oh. Do we need to sign these, or?
Those are certificates, call her name out and all.
Okay, so Riley Clark. I guess I should probably just come down there, huh? And hand it over the desk. We have Kira McIntyre. Yeah, Mallory Rogers. We have Lucas Turner.
Picture on each individual one.
Come on here, guys. Squeeze in, Dr. Val. He's way over there.
Yeah, we can't leave our teachers out. Just barely, I know they told you about the issues that they were concerned with. I'd like for one of them to tell you what the vote was of all the participants that were there, because
Okay.
at the end of the meeting, everyone voted for either yes or no for that particular concern. So whoever's got those numbers, okay.
So I don't have the exact poll numbers, but I do remember which ones won. Oh, we do? Okay, perfect. In the post-secondary course requirement, the votes for that were 40% agreed and 60% disagreed. So the against won on that one. Uniforms shall be worn by all students. 18% agreed with that, and 82% disagreed. So the against won on that one. The school calendar shall be increased from 180 to 200 days. 31% agreed and 69% disagreed. And for the last one, every student will complete at least 30 hours of community service as part of a local graduation requirement. 39% agreed and 61% disagreed. So out of all of them, the closest to passing was the 30 hours of community service
All
requirement.
right, thank you. Some good discussion there.
Thank you all very much. I think that would have been nice for all of us to have before we started this. So they've got some good knowledge.
All right, so next up, we're going to go for the School level teacher of the year. And Dr. Powell is gonna do the presentations here, and let me get through my, we have, you just want me to read them off then?
I was gonna read them.
Okay, you can read them then. I got the list here, so yeah,
Either way.
absolutely. Nope, go for it.
Okay, we'll start with elementary at Deerfield. The pre-K4 teacher of the year was Leslie Waldorf. Five eight was Michelle Feller. At East Coffee, pre-K4 was Dr. Melanie Banks. And 5-8 was Justin Biles. Yeah, he's not here. I'm just going to do all of them. He's not here. For Hickerson Elementary, pre-K4 was Mackenzie Taylor. And 5-8 was Jana Thompson. Okay, for Hillsborough Elementary, pre-K4 was Megan Shores. And 5-8 was Tiffany Newman. For New Union, pre-K4 was Shannon Reynolds. And 5-8 was Heather Tucker. For North Coffee Elementary, pre-K4 was Allison Driver. And 5-8 was Andy Barnard. Okay, for secondary at the Coffee County Middle School, 6th grade was Emily Daniel. 7th grade was Malaysia Pack. And 8th grade was Betty Shelton. For the Raider Academy, it was Sharina Nolan.
Y'all all over here. We have more fun over here.
And for Coffee County Central High School, Josh Barnard Sr. Lacey Brown. Tisha Jaco. And Brad Jameson. That's everybody. I think that's here. Yes, sir. And, okay. Okay. Well, let's do this, and then we'll do the district level after. You want to do that? Okay.
That's right.
So all of you guys will come into the front. Dr. Powell, you direct me.
I don't know if we can spread out that far or not, get a picture.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna photobomb y'all.
Everybody ready? We got them? Yes. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, and we'll go ahead and recognize the district level teachers of the year. For pre-K4, that was Dr. Melanie Banks from Deerfield Elementary. From East Coffee. I'm sorry, I looked at you and said Deerfield and knew East Coffee. Our 5-8 district level teacher of the year was Michelle Feller from Deerfield. And our secondary district level teacher of the year was Josh Barnard, senior from the high school.
Smile, Josh.
Congratulations, everyone, and thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
did we skip the winter color guard?
No, we're gonna,
Okay.
they were gonna be a little bit late, so
Oh.
we're, I don't know if are they here yet, Dr. Powell? The Winter Color Guard?
Sir,
The Winter Color Guard, are they here yet?
I have not seen any of them.
Yes, they're here.
Thank y'all for your leadership and all that you do, what you mean to our county.
Oh, they are here, okay. Come on up.
Oh, this is the color guard, okay. Didn't know y'all were here. Thank you.
So I guess you, in your competition, you finished first out of 17 groups as well as being named Tennessee State Champions. So, wow, quite an honor.
Wow.
So,
Thank you.
Dr. Powell, do you have any comments?
No, so like all the rest of our student athletes, these ladies do a tremendous job. They're out in the rain during football season, and good, bad, and indifferent. There's several of them I know, and they do a lot of competition, and apparently they've done an excellent job. So we certainly appreciate what y'all do for Coffee County School System, and thank you very much.
Let's give them a standing ovation.
Yeah. State champion.
So proud of y'all.
Congratulations, ladies. I wish we could see something. That would be great.
We're supposed to be getting a video, and I will gladly email it.
Please, I would love to see it. That is amazing.
Thank you.
I bet it was. That is really cool.
Thank you.
All right, that's awesome. Okay, I think that is it for the recognitions. We kind of had to shuffle the order here. So, next on our pre-agenda agenda, we have the TISA accountability report from Dr. Cornelius. I don't think I missed anything, did I? No, okay. Kind of shuffle things a little bit.
I'll hold it. How's that? I have to do that all the time anyway. I don't care. So that's nice to follow a lot of those recognitions. I think it's always good if we can recognize teachers and students. That's a good idea. So the April TISA Accountability Report, and I'll just kind of hit it along the lines of the goals themselves. So for elementary, for the third grade goal, and actually for all of their school, elementary, they did the mock TCAP in February, late February. They used SchoolNet, and then all the admins assured me at each of the schools that they used those results, got those to the teachers in their individual professional learning communities, did a standards analysis on those so they could identify any weaknesses that they saw early on in getting ready for TCAP, which is this week. They're actually testing ELA this week, and mathematics will be next week. And then middle school still using they're using Mastery Connect, which is a good program, and they had their results. They've done the same thing with theirs, And they use Master Connect 3 times a year, fall, winter, and spring. And again, they do the same thing. And Master Connect breaks it out by the standard. Also, what should be taught, it also has like a pacing guide with it. And that's all done with that company, which I think is a very, very good deal. And high school, as far as their progress toward their goal, now juniors tested on ACT in April. All the juniors took it, 352 of them at the high school. And they're making progress. I can tell you now, I mean, when I did this, I thought, well, I don't have the results there, but I do. And ACT is not embargoed. That's not anything that's embargoed. So out of the 352, there are 88 of them that have already, they've made the 21 or higher. And that's exactly 25% on the nose. Hopefully, with their senior retake, we'll see more come up to that 21 and above. As I told you last fall, we had 22 students, which was very, I hadn't seen it that high again in the fall where they came crossing that threshold to get to the 21 or higher. Now, speaking of, I'll go ahead and tell you, high school too. Let's see, they're opening up more dual enrollment opportunities. That's one thing that's being done also to help them meet their TESA outcome goal. Of course, theirs is a little bit different than the other grade levels, as you know. And then for our TESA outcome bonus, what I did is convene district level leadership, the instructional supervisors too, Dr. Powell, et cetera. And then also the building level principals. And we worked on that over a series of meetings, in with Ms. Melson too. And as she alluded to you last week, we've come up with each level gets to have their initiatives that they want. And so high school is using theirs for some ACT enhancements. One of those is going to be teachers to become even ACT certified, which will help us because we do need to beef up. Now I'm competitive. I'm very competitive. So I have seen in a neighboring district that is also in the county that will go nameless right now, but they had 2 of their students get a 36 on the ACT. So I want 36s here big time. So we've had 35s. We had some 35s this year in the senior class. Had I think 2 35s. And then when I looked at the juniors, actually this morning, there was a 34 so far. So I'm wanting that 36. I'm very, very competitive there. Anyway, the high school is also going to use for some of the TESA outcome bonus money for industrial certifications, so that we can help fund those, so that students don't have to pay for that, so that we pay for that for them, so that they can take those certification exams and earn that. That's highly important because, as you know, not everybody is university bound. We have a lot of talent in the industrial area too that we need to tap and keep going. That's very important. They also, high school is going to include in their English, they're going to use the National Institute for Excellence in Teaching, the NIET. They're going to bring that in to their program also. And like I said, those ACT enhancements will help quite a bit. Then middle school is going to still use, they're going to continue to fund their Mastery Connect. They're a strong believer and supporter in that. From what I've seen, I like it a lot too. Dr. Anderson had shared that with me once, and I liked it a lot. And let's see, middle school is also going to expand their NIET program. We're going to bring it there. And then elementary is using it, I believe it's Deerfield, Hillsborough, and Hickerson are going to add the NIET ELA initiative to their schools next year. And that's very important. That should be a very good investment. And let's see, they're also going to use some of their money to supplement some of their ELA materials, their wonders and their foundations that they use for ELA. So I'm hoping to see lots and lots of increases, this spring. I hope to see that, and then hopefully next year too. We need to be turning our emphasis toward mathematics too. as a former math teacher, I'm always going to be cheerleading for mathematics also. So I want to see, some more initiatives there. So that's the April report, and I'm supposed to come back to you in July. And of course, if I can share, what results I can share with you, I will naturally, if they're not embargoed. So, all
When
right.
do we start to see those results?
Well, we'll see them at a district level with accountability. And of course, I work with that team quite a lot at the state. With accountability, we should see some preliminary releases, or in June. Usually in June we get some of those numbers. Again, it's whenever they tell us that we can talk about them publicly. That's not my rule or anything like that. I hate that, but that's not my. I have to abide by it, or I don't want to end up in TCAP jail. So that wouldn't be a very good place for me. And I think the last piece of that is on accountability's part that relates to all of this. We're in what they call the CCR, the Career, College, and Readiness Accountability. All of that was those appeals were due on Friday. I think I turned in about 11 appeals. Should get all of those, no problem. And then I'll have some preliminary numbers. I believe April the 28th or 29th. I think they'll release some preliminary numbers to me on that with CCR. And I'm not sure. I'll have to ask when we have we have a monthly accountability. Sometimes every 2 weeks we have these accountability webinars, and I'll try to ask if that CCR data is embargoed or not. If it's not, I'll gladly share that with you in July. I can tell you about that. Do you have any questions of me or anything on this?
Dr. Cornelison,
yes.
you mentioned, and I know Mr. Blessings mentioned in some of his presentations, what do you mean by dual enrollment? What does that term represent?
Dual enrollment. What dual enrollment is as you know, students have to have a certain amount of credits to graduate high school, and they also have to be in certain classes. So I'll just use a very, very simple. I'll be partial to mathematics. You could take dual enrollment college algebra. You could take dual enrollment statistics and probability. What that does is that will sub in for the senior level mathematics. They wouldn't take just a senior level mathematics at the high school. They'll take it, but they'll also be getting college credit for it. And usually, and that's one thing the high school has done to open up even more dual enrollment opportunities. We have post-secondary institutions that each course is tagged to. Most of them have been Montlow, but now we've incorporated Tennessee Tech into that and Middle Tennessee State. So they generate a college transcript with those in those courses, and then they get the credit for the high school and they get the credit for the college. That can be in English, history, just about anything. Lots of fine arts. They do a lot of dual enrollment fine arts. We see that. CTE also is very, and I can't go on. I'm not going to keep hogging your time, but CTE, they have a very good opportunity with those TCAT dual enrollments. There's cosmetology that's dual enrollment. There's welding that's dual enrollment. And I believe there's residential. I think there's a residential construction that's also some dual enrollment. So there's dual enrollment opportunities in the CTE areas too, that are the post-secondary institution with those is TCAT in McMinnville. And that's the one that we partner with there. And we have MOUs, or the memorandums of understanding, with each one of those institutions. So that's very important to maintain that. I can't emphasize that enough.
There was a study that came out recently, kind of throw this out at you, but it was interesting because basically they said that as a result of the study, they found that standardized test scores, and mainly speaking about ACT and SAT, was highly predictive of how kids were going to do in college, and much better predictor of their outcomes in college as opposed to GPA and things like that. So are you familiar with that?
I am. That is true. One thing with the state of Tennessee with the ESSA application, and it's not been approved yet. They're wanting to. I don't know what the holdup is. Maybe because who knows what it is. But anyway, there is a move to dismiss some of the standardized testing in high school, in the high school level, and then make the ACT the benchmark or the test for high school, the accountability test there. Now, that hasn't been finalized yet. It's not been codified into rule or law or policy by the SBE, but there is a movement there to do that. So we may indeed see that, and it can.
Yeah, I don't know how that relates to like TCAP, you know, I mean, that was specific to SAT and ACT.
Right.
But
At the high school, it's not TCAP at the high school. Grade 9, 12, it'll go to EOC, right. the end of course test, which is analogous to the TCAP in the grades 3 through 8. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Dr. Cornelius? All right.
All
We'll
right.
look forward to your report in July.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See if I can get this done without Mr. Dangwood killing me.
Or watching him flinch back there as you whack the mic. All right, at this point, we're moving to the main part of our agenda, so we have the call to order, and I don't think we had I did not check, but nobody signed in for public comment, so there is no public comment. So we now have call for intent, so I need a motion to accept the minutes and the general consent items and the agenda as a whole. So,
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Mr. Gilly and Mr. Cordell. Just a minute, let me get my vote tally form here. So, okay, Mr. Gilly, Mr. Cordell. All right, any discussion on that? Anybody? All right, so let's start with Mr. Gilly.
Aye.
Mr. Cordell?
Aye.
Ms. Inch?
Aye.
Mr. Hansard?
Aye.
Ms. Jones is not here. Ms. Hodge?
Aye.
Matthews?
Aye.
Mr. Coon?
Aye.
And I will vote aye. That passes 8-0. So the agenda is adopted. The first item on the agenda is the director's contract, and that is item 1. This was the contract that the Director Search Committee came up with. We basically took a number of contracts and consolidated them together, and then we worked it out. Now there is something that Matthew pointed out to me on page 4. There's a hymn in here, and I'm losing it now, but was that on page 4?
Page 4 and the top, number 4, in the second sentence.
Oh, okay. Yeah, his choice, yeah. Third line and number 4, so we just need to change that to, change the language on that to make it, I guess since we have 2 male candidates and 2 female candidates, probably need to change that, so. Do I have a motion to approve this contract, and then we can go to discussion?
Mr. Chair, I make the motion to approve this contract. I think the motion does need to carry some cleanup of items such as that that was just pointed out in item number 4.
Okay,
I think that's the only one that I've seen. When I heard earlier, I looked. That's the only one I heard seen. So we can clean that up, but I make the motion that we accept this with that cleaned up.
okay. Do I have a second?
A second.
Mr. Cordell. All right. So the motion is to approve the contract with cleanup of any language, nothing substantive, just basically just cleaning up the language, removing his's or sexist language, I guess. That is the motion, so open the floor to discussion. This would be the contract that we would offer to a new director coming on board.
I can't find it on here, but it does say on here somewhere that the director must live inside Coffee County. Can someone help me find where it says that?
That's residency on page 2, towards the top.
I don't agree with that. Personally, I feel like that should say surrounding counties. If there's someone that could, say you live on Woodbury Highway, say you live, right inside of Morrison, that's still so close. I think that's insane to make someone move a couple miles to reside inside of Coffee County.
Mr. Chair, just to put Ms. Hodges' mind at ease, I think we discussed that, and I think it's as simple as a suspension of the policy that we can, because I think it's in policy that actually says the director must reside within the county. And we can suspend the policy for someone and negotiate this at that time, if that's what it took to negotiate. I think it was.
Is that in policy?
Because some of this is probably going to be changed anyways in a discussion.
When we talked about that, I think we talked about doing it at the discretion of the board, is what we said.
Well, that's what it would be anyways, in a suspension of the policy or.
Yeah, I'm looking for a policy here that I don't have.
And Mr. Chairman, at one time, I know we talked about, I don't know, recently, we talked about adjoining, adding, I think, adjoining counties.
We did?
We talked, yeah, we talked about several different situations, and I think that's whenever, I think when Miss Anderson was here and Frida Kay was here, we talked about at the discretion of the board whether we wanted to even change it depending on who, we ended up offering the director's job to.
That's what a suspension of the rule is the discretion of the board.
Well, this though isn't a contract, so would that be different?
I zoned out for a minute. What'd you say?
I just want to make sure because I know that there's at least 2 candidates that don't live inside of our county. I'm not sure about, well, I know there's 3 actually, I'm pretty sure, that don't live inside of our county. But they're very close. I just want to make sure that this is something that could be changed depending on who we choose, so it doesn't have to be based on that.
It's similar to what Mr. Hansard said. We would have to, as a board, we would use the discretion and suspend policy and
Okay.
negotiate
I just wanted to bring it up just to make sure.
Yeah, we would, and obviously the candidates would want to negotiate that as well.
And quite frankly, yeah, contracts are negotiable, so you probably end up negotiating some of these terms
Okay.
anyway.
I've never hired anybody before, so I want to make sure that we're doing this right.
Yeah, I mean, when we have a contract, we're starting off with a contract, but I imagine whoever the new director is going to be will request some changes to the
Okay.
contract. So that's subject to negotiation, I guess.
Well, that's a
Mr.
good
Chairman, here you go.
Yes,
I
sir.
think that, of course, this would be the contract that you would offer the new director, whomever that might be, and then you would have to sit down with them and look at a negotiated part of it, then bring that back to the board for final approval of the contract as such.
As amended.
Right.
As amended or whatever you might need to do with it, yes, sir.
Right.
That
Yeah,
would
this
be
is the contract we would offer
recommendations
them.
that you would have to bring back to the board if there are any changes that would be necessary in here. Because there's some
we
that may
were-
apply some and others that wouldn't apply to any of them.
Right.
Committee was just getting very, very close with this document. But close, as close as we could without getting into a big
Right.
change.
And I know the residency was something that was discussed quite a bit. And we had a couple different proposals, as Mr. Hansard mentioned, so. So is that sufficient, or would you like to make a motion to amend the contract or change the contract?
I mean,
or-
I'm not on that committee. As long as like the whole thing, if there's like a hard pass for somebody on this, like I'd rather it be negotiable. That's what I wanted it said out loud that that could happen if it needed to.
Yeah, all contracts are negotiable.
Like I said, I worked for me, so I don't know. Never had a contract like this.
And I suspect that somebody's gonna come back around and negotiate a few of these terms and
Okay.
conditions, so, consider this a starting point, I
All right.
guess, is this is what we agree on as our starting point,
Okay.
and I think that's, but I'm open to other thoughts and stuff
That
as
sounds
well,
good.
so,
Thank y'all for helping explain that.
other comments? So the motion that's on the floor is to accept the contract with minor changes, cleaning up the language, but in the substance of the contract, as is. Any further discussion? If not, Mr. Cordell,
Aye.
Ms. Yinch,
Aye.
Mr. Hansard,
Aye.
Ms. Hodge,
Aye.
Ms. Matthews,
Aye.
Mr. Coon,
Aye.
Mr. Gilly,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. That passes 8-0. All right, next up, we have the budget, which was the subject of a lot of discussion at the retreat we had last week. And basically, we have 4 options, and let me bring that up here, I'm sorry. So we're talking first, and I believe that April is on the line. If we have questions, she is not here, but she's going to try to zoom in.
She's back home.
I'm here if you guys have questions.
Okay, if we have any questions,
Can you
we,
hear me?
yes.
Okay, thanks, okay.
Mr. Chair, so that we can properly open up discussion, I want to make a motion.
Sure.
I'd like to move that we approve line number 3, option number 3 of a 4% raise.
Okay, there is a motion by Mr. Gilly to accept the budget
will
option
second that motion.
with the 4% raise. So, Mr. Gilly and Mr. Cordell, seems to be a trend here tonight, so. All right, open for discussion. Any discussion? We've pretty well hammered it last. April is on the line if there's any questions, but if Mr. Cordell has stepped out of the room, any discussion?
I don't know where he went.
I think he's, on some medication that, all right.
Mr. Chair, I would like to propose a 3% raise this year. We're going to have a new director coming in, and I think when they come in, they're going to come in with some of their own ideas. And a 4% after a 7%.
Well, we have a
That's-
motion that we need to vote on.
Oh, we have to do
for-
that first,
Yeah,
okay.
right now, so if that fails, then we can come back around.
Okay.
so. All right,
Mr. Chair, Mr. Cordell seconded the motion and should be here for the motion. I'm not certain why he seconded and then,
He may not be aware of that, I'll check.
okay.
yeah,
He inserted into this motion, he needs to be here to vote.
and he stepped out of the room, so we will wait for Mr. Cordell to come back before we vote here, so. So, sorry about that.
I didn't know what else to say.
I can say that getting old is rough stuff. I can sympathize.
I guess I could have blurted out, wait a minute.
Yeah. So,
But I'm trying to be good after everything I said at the start of the meeting tonight.
Okay,
I'm trying to do better.
you're doing fine. And while we're waiting for Mr. Cordell, I really want to call out April and her team and Dr. Powell for all the effort they put into putting together these budgets. We had a very detailed discussion in our work session last week, and it was clearly laid out, and we had, I mean, it was obvious there was a big effort that went into that, so I'd really like to give a shout out to April and her team for putting that together, and you know, a lot of work goes into that. All right.
We also need to thank April for calling in from her daughter's cheer competition in Orlando. I hope she's not missing it.
She's out of state, so, yeah, if you need to leave April,
You better not. You run.
There's a lot of, I'm sorry, there's a lot of background noise though, so.
Okay.
well, that's all good.
We don't go on until, I think, 6:48 your time, so we have a little bit before
Okay.
they hit the stage.
Well, unless there's further discussion, we're going to vote, starting with Ms. Yench on the 4% option.
No.
Okay, Mr. Hansard,
No.
Ms. Hodge,
No.
Ms. Matthews,
No.
Mr. Kuhn,
No.
Mr. Gilly,
Yes.
Mr. Cordell.
Yes.
And I will vote yes. That is 6 to 2. Oh, yeah, no, 5 to 3, yeah. It fails 5 to 3, all right. So we need a motion to.
What was our options?
You have a 2% raise, a 3% raise, a 4% raise, and then a flat rate plus 3%. So, or flat and 3% combined, so,
Same ones that were in our book and we went over.
yeah, that we
Spring
discussed
retreat.
on Thursday, so. So I need a motion to accept one of those.
I make a motion to accept the 3% raise for this year.
All right. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Ms. Okay. Ms. Matthews, all right, discussion.
Well, like I said before, we did a 7% last year, 3%, a 10% raise within 2 years. That's really pretty good. And I know that when we get a new director in, they're going to have their own ideas. I don't want to get so far out with our present financial climate, shall I say, that we can't meet the budget at some point. So, and if we do a 3% and then next year look at the same possibility, we can get up to that 50,000 that we need to get up to for our beginning teachers. So that's my reasoning behind it.
Further discussion?
Mr. Chair, I just want to say that, you know, after the spring retreat and everything we went through with the spring retreat, we haven't hit fund balance with any of the percentage raises yet, even though every single year they have been intended on hitting fund balance, but luckily we haven't. It's been that well. We never know when this is going to change. We still have a goal that we have to reach. I have a lot of faith in Miss April with what she does. It has worked out, and she has been proven correct many years in a row. That was one of the questions in the spring retreat I asked was, does this year feel better than waiting till next year, or what, to try to jump ahead and get to that goal a little quicker to where potentially next year we might not even have to do one and we're already there, just in average growth. That was the reasoning behind my original. I think we should still strive to reach these goals as quick as we possibly can. And I believe this was our safest opportunity to do so.
All right, further discussion?
Is it possible to go back and change a vote for the other motion? I was on the fence.
We already voted.
No, once it failed, that's it.
Yeah.
This meeting.
Well, bear in mind too,
You take the prevailing side, you take someone from the prevailing side to reintroduce that motion.
we've also got the bleachers coming up, we've got lights coming up, we're looking at 2 schools that will either be refurbished or possibly a whole new school built. We've got pavement issues, and I value the fund balance too, but I also value paying our teachers what we can.
We
So-
have the largest fund balance ever,
Oh, I agree.
ever.
I think we're gonna need it, so that's just my reasoning.
So if you wanted to go back and reconsider, Beth would have to withdraw her motion, and then we would have to have a motion to reconsider, I believe, is how that would work, and then vote on the 4%.
I think this motion would have to carry through with either a pass or a fail. And then I think it could be reintroduced by someone from the prevailing side, I do believe. But that's close.
I'm really not positive on this one. I would think that you can reconsider and bring it back up from the prevailing side, like Mr. Gilly said. But that's a guess from my side. I do want to mention one thing. The past several years, over the past 5 years, one of the things was to get the fund balance up to a point where you could push the envelope a little bit. And that was one of the purposes of trying to get the fund balance up to where it is. So that was a strategy, but I just want to make sure everybody was aware of that. That's all.
All right.
So to answer your question, yes, this motion would have to either pass or fail. Then you would look at a reconsideration of
Then we could do a motion to reconsider.
but it'd have to be someone from the prevailing side, which would have been one of the no votes on the
Well,
floor.
yeah, the other option is Beth could withdraw the motion, but then you got a second on that too.
You could,
I would
yes.
have to agree with as well, so I would say we just, I mean, if everybody's in agreement, we would just go ahead and vote on the 3%. Everybody fine with that? So we're voting on the 3% option of the budget. So the motion is to pass the 3% raise option in the budget. So, Mr. Hansard,
No.
Ms. Hodge,
No.
Ms. Matthews,
Aye.
Mr. Kuhn, Mr. Gilly,
No.
Mr. Cordell,
No.
Ms. Yench,
Aye.
and I will vote no. So that fails 3-5. Right?
Mr. Chairman, do you mind calling those votes off once again? What they?
Yes, on the 4%, it was.
No, on the 3%.
On the 3%, Mr. Gilly voted no, Mr. Cordell voted no, Ms. Yench voted aye, Mr. Hansard voted no, I voted no, Ms. Hodge voted no, Ms. Matthews voted aye, and Mr. Kuhn voted aye. Correct, everybody? So that fails 5-3. All right, so,
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion to reconsider the 4%.
okay, we have a motion to reconsider. So first, we would need to vote on the motion to reconsider. As I understand. We're,
You have to vote on
we're
that.
getting into Robert's Rules
Okay.
of Order.
Mr. Chairman, you're gonna need a second on that reconsider.
Right, yeah.
Sorry.
So motion to reconsider by Ms. Hodge. And do I have a second? To reconsider.
I second that.
Mr. Cordell seconds. All right. So, so we are motioning to reconsider the 4%. So we need to pass the motion to reconsider and then go back and make a motion, as I understand it, and I'm getting into pushing
Yes.
limits.
And that doesn't have to be from the prevailing side. The motion to reconsider is.
Correct. Right, all right.
Okay,
still
so
have to
we're
vote on that,
correct so far.
Yeah, we had a vote to reconsider and then vote on the 4%. So, and then motion on the 4%. All right, so motion to reconsider, Ms. Hodge,
Aye.
Ms. Matthews,
No.
Mr. Kuhn,
No.
Mr. Gilly,
Yes.
Mr. Cordell.
Yes.
Ms. Yinch.
Yes.
Mr. Hansard.
No.
I will vote yes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yeses and 3 noes. So do you have that, Melissa? So, okay, I can read them off if you want. So now we need another motion to reconsider the 4%.
Mr. Chair, I'd
May I
like to
make a statement, if you don't mind, Mr. Ballard? The difference between a 4% and a 3% is gonna be about $390,000.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept line 3, option number 3 of a 4% raise.
okay, Mr. Gilly. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Cordell. Further discussion on the 4% raise option.
Mr. Chair, I would be remiss, not to all the, emails that I got, to be against this because of our structure that we have and our pay system, where our top, people that's making in the 100,000s, we're gonna be getting right at $4,000 raise this year. And our classifieds are gonna be getting like a $900 raise. And I just, I can't, see why that we're doing that, and leaving those people that far behind. I've made the statement a couple of times that the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer, with this rate that we're doing here. It's nothing, and I don't have anything against a raise, but, that's gonna be putting it way out of my comment.
Other discussion? All right.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I just want to remind everybody, we have continuously, every year, reached down into those other areas, classified, and attempted and made a lot of progress in those individual areas to close those gaps. I think this is still a part of the major plan and the goal that we must reach. And, I intend on continually reaching down into those classified areas and things of that nature, and let's make up some space and gain some strides there as we have while we're still trying to achieve this goal. And with that, I'll call question.
Okay, we got to call the question. That does not require a second. It does?
We didn't do that the last time, but it does need a second. You
Okay.
need to vote on it.
Okay, so Mr. Gilly, do I have a second and call the question? Terminate debate? No second? Then discussion is still open. With anybody else? All right, so we are voting on the 4% raise option. What did I do last time? I'm running out of paper here.
I
Mr.
think
Coon.
it's Holly's turn.
What, start voting?
Yeah, we're gonna vote on the
Should be
4%.
Ms.
Yeah,
Matthews.
Holly.
Are we voting?
Yes, we're voting.
Okay.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay.
It's getting confusing. Isn't it?
Okay. No.
Mr. Coon,
No.
Mr. Gilly,
Yes.
Mr. Cordell.
Yes.
Ms. Yinch.
I am really struggling with this one.
I understand.
And I know this is not the time for discussion, but I also know that we have to have this budget in by the end of April. So I'm going to vote yes.
Mr. Hansard.
No.
And Ms. Hodge.
Aye.
And I will vote aye. That passes 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3. So we have adopted the 4% raise for the budget. And I'm just about out of paper here, so we can't do that too much more. All right, so next item up on the agenda is the nutrition budget. And basically, we have the same 4 options. We have a 2% raise, we have a 3% raise, we have a 4% raise, and then we have the flat plus 3%, I think, split out. And thank you. So the nutrition budget is the 143 budget, right? So that's it, yeah. So we looked at basically the same scenarios. So I need a motion to accept one of those scenarios, the 2, 3, 4, or the 3 plus flat rate.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Gilly,
I move to accept option number 3 of the 4% raise on the school budget as well.
okay. Do I have a second?
I will second that.
Mr. Cordell seconds. Okay, the motion has been made to approve the 4% option on the 143 nutrition budget. Any discussion?
Now, am I understanding correctly, what we vote for will come out of the budget of the food services?
That's a whole different, yeah. We have the 141 budget, which is the general budget. Then we have 143 fund, which is the school, the nutrition budget. So for the school lunches, so whole separate budget, different fund balance. They have their own fund balance that's separate from the 141 fund balance. So so we're voting on the 143 fund.
So we are basically deciding what the director will increase the pay of her people working underneath her? We're making that decision?
We're voting on the budget that will provide a pay increase of, I think the motion is 4%, yes. So same as the 141 budget, except this is just a separate for the food service program, the nutrition program.
Right.
school
So
lunch program.
we're basically deciding what she will increase her employees' pay raise. No? Will it come out of our general budget, or will it come out of her budget, the pay increases? I understand that comes out of her budget.
That comes out of the 143 budget, separate budget. So we went over in the, if you remember, we went over in the work session when we
Right.
talked about the funding sources. on both the 141 and the 143, they are separate. So it's mostly, 143 fund is mostly, correct me if I'm wrong, USDA funds. So it's federal money. There's some other monies that come in there, but it's mostly USDA money that's whole separate revenue source than our general education fund, which is the 141 fund.
Okay.
So whole separate budget.
Right, whole separate budget, but we are making the decision about how much of her budget will go towards raises out of that particular one.
Well, the overall budget, yeah. So
Okay. That's
of the
what I
revenues that
thought.
are coming in, plus fund balance, and they do have a fund, they have their own fund balance, so there's fund balance available too. So that would go towards the overall budget, which would include a 4% raise. I guess that's the motion right now, so. That makes sense?
It does, but I'm wondering, in voting for a 4% raise, how much of, I mean, we're looking at her needing to increase, that'll come up later, her needing to increase the cost of food. So if we vote the higher budget for raises, does that come out of what she has to spend for food items, which would make it cost more for the students' lunches, is what I'm trying to figure out.
Not unless we pay for those lunches out of the general budget or the participation in programs. And I would like to call on, but it's really not for this discussion, I don't think. I think it's for the next agenda item of the explanation of that participation program for the free lunches for everyone.
Mr. Chair, can I make a comment? I highly recommend to not do the school nutrition different than what the general budget is in the because that's not good. I highly recommend not doing two different things with the two different budgets.
Thank you.
I highly.
Can I speak for just a second?
Sure.
So in the past, we've never done anything different for food service because we've always kind of followed what general school does. So I have talked about this school person about if general school can help pick up some of her deficit. And she said basically it's allowed unless we have something in board policy that says we can't do it. I haven't found anything in board policy that says we can't do it. If there happens, like, I got to continue to read through policy and make sure, we don't see it anywhere in policy. But at this time, I haven't seen anything in board policy that says we can't do that. But if it did come up, that's something that we could take to policy committee, and we could make amends to that policy to be able to help out food service.
Right now, I have a huge fund balance, so we're not in danger of having to do that currently.
Mostly I was just trying to cover your expenses.
Well, yes, and I feel like increasing the prices will do that.
Okay.
If not, next year we'll increase a little more. I'm just not going to jump in and increase them too much. Or if we do go free breakfast and lunch, we just have to see how that works out too.
Any further discussion? The motion that's on the floor is to do the nutrition budget, the 143 fund, a 4% increase. So, Mr. Kuhn. Mr. Gilly.
Aye.
Mr. Cordell.
Aye.
Ms. Yinch.
Aye.
Mr. Hansard.
Aye.
Ms. Hodge.
Aye.
Ms. Matthews.
Aye.
And chair will vote aye. That passes 8-0. Okay. A little confusing. All right. So next item up is the the meal increase, food service price increase, and that is item number 4 on your agenda, so you can bring that up here. But Scott, you want to explain? We talked about this at the retreat, but before we get a motion, maybe you can give a quick explanation of what we're looking at here.
Okay, what we were going to do to help cover some of the additional cost, of course, for increased salaries. Of course, we had the snow days, I mentioned that, inclement weather days. We also had COVID relief money that was coming, now it's gone. And there's an increase in the amount of food cost by a lot. So what I was going to do is just do an increase of 50 cents for breakfast and 50 cents for lunch, which would make it $1.75 for breakfast across the board. Pre-K through 5 would be $2.75, and 6 through 12 would be $3. So that way, we haven't increased in 10 years since I've been here. So I don't know, it's probably been more than 10 years. And think of how much costs have gone up in 10 years. And the fact that we've made it this long is just a miracle. But I was sort of waiting till we hit fund balance to really try to increase, because if I'm going to use any fund balance, I would want it to be to keep the prices low. But now the time has come. And if it's not enough this year, I may have to do a little more next year. Or, we might be able to go free, do the free breakfast and lunch, but I'm not positive on that yet.
And just for a point of clarification, this price increase is not included in the budget.
It's not included in there because it wasn't approved.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. But it'll make a significant difference.
All right, thank you. So I need a motion to approve the price increase, I guess.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Gilly,
I move that we do not approve this price increase and that we pursue the fact of general budget covering all breakfast and lunches for all students in Coffee County schools if the pursuance of the state and federal grant that I think the director made us aware of in the board retreat can't be obtained.
so you're proposing from the 141, we transfer money from the 141 budget to the 143 budget
Yes.
to cover the cost of school lunches.
I think that number was close to 1.350 for this next year, anticipated.
April, do you remember that number?
The number, what was it? I
Your-
know.
your
we have a
food number.
We had a deficit.
The number
of-
you're having to raise it for, the extra cost of food plus the food that you was normally budgeted anyway.
Right, well, I had a deficit of 245, almost 250 this
Well,
year.
we wasn't talking about a deficit, we was talking about the food, paying for the lunches.
Food, well, just the food alone, I mean, it just depends on how many people eat. Like, we had less eat this year than we have last year, so you can't really compare them. I just know the
Well,
food costs have
you gave
have
us
doubled.
you gave us a number in that meeting, and it was either 1.350 or 1.5. The best I can recall. Somebody else may remember those numbers.
I don't remember that.
Are you talking
And,
about her total food budget?
I think it's about
Her total amount
1.2,
for
Robert.
food?
1.2.
Yeah, well,
April's on. Go ahead, April.
I think y'all are talking about her total amount of food.
Right.
I believe
I
that's,
think
And
it's
it's on
just
here,
I think it's your food line, Carlin. So that whatever is coming from Gordon Food, that line that would hit where it would hit for Gordon Food.
Right, it did not, but see, it depends on how many kids you feed. If you feed less, then it doesn't matter. But let me see what it is. Let's
well, if
see.
you've got an average, that would probably work for my goal here, because my goal is to pay.
Yeah, so last year it was 101, and this year I was estimating it's a little bit less, but like I said, I've had less kids eat. So, and food costs, it just varies according to how many I feed. I had estimated it as going up as far as 20,000 if we feed more.
My goal out of this motion is to pay for all of our food for our students.
So basically, free lunch and breakfast.
Free lunch
So
and
the
breakfast.
food
for all
cost
students.
alone would be 110,000.
Now, I do know, can you explain a little bit to the members of what you're pursuing again on
Well,
to cover the cost
yes,
of the
if
free?
the director, if that's something they want to proceed with, I would see about getting the community eligibility provision. And in that, it allows the kids to eat free breakfast and free lunch. But I would only be getting a certain amount back for the amount that, once, like right now, I think I would get 70% back from the USDA to pay for that, and the other 30% I'd have to pick up the cost. So it depends. That number comes up from how many direct cert or free and reduced kids you have.
So we have so many, we have several different options here to make sure that we just cover these meals for the students.
Yeah, we
So
can, yes.
I'd like to restate my motion if I could, Mr. Chair.
Sure, there's been no second yet, so. Feel
I
free.
just move that we do not approve any additional costs for meals for our students at this time. Because I think the coverage of the meals, I think that will come with the pursuance of
I mean, if we do
these
that.
efforts.
If not, my
we can
budget,
do
yeah,
it,
we'll
we can
have
do a
to-
budget
something
amendment.
will have to change.
Well, we can do a budget amendment just as it was laid out. We could do a budget amendment at a later date and take over those meals. If the state doesn't come through or this program doesn't come through.
Right, but we have to approve the new meal prices. If you want.
Okay, well then I'll restate again.
It's still,
We
we
do
still
not
don't have a
approve.
second, so go
We
ahead.
do
and
not
restate.
approve this, and we pay, as a system, we pay for every student's meals in this system, breakfast and lunch. Because we're not,
So the motion would be to pay for the student lunches out of the 141 fund, transfer to 143 fund to pay
Yes.
for student lunches. Or lunches and breakfasts,
yes,
clarification, okay. So the motion would be for the board to approve a transfer from the 141 fund to the 143 fund to cover the cost of the student lunches and breakfasts. Correct?
yes.
All right. Do we have a second on that? Mr. Gilly made the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it,
Ms. Hodge seconds that, so.
I think.
All right, so the motion is to transfer money from the 141 fund to the 143 fund to cover the cost of student lunches and breakfasts, so that there is no charge to the students. Discussion.
Do we know, Mr. Cotton, if we're gonna get a grant yet? Can we wait till, I mean, I'd like to see if we wait and see if we're gonna get this grant first or not.
I would have to apply for it. But like I said, I'd have to have the director, to back that.
Is that what you was talking about the other night? Wait to
Yes.
see whether we had a
Yes.
director that would back
Mhm.
you on it?
Yes. I want them to support this, because it's, you can lose money on it, but I feel like we will not. But I want their support.
And this is not something that you could do without the director's support, since you kind of stand alone with the school lunch budget.
Well, I had it approved just today. They said they'll give me to June 30th
Okay.
to decide on the community eligibility provision, if I want to do that. It's more of it's not a grant as much as it's a provision that you can sign on for, so.
But if this board backs you and this board likes this idea and wants to pursue that, why?
Yeah, we could do that. I mean, I'd have to get all the
Couldn't our new
numbers.
director
and-
get the hint?
And we can still do it. We can approve these numbers and still do it. This is just to cover me in case we don't do it.
I don't like, I'm out on that answer.
So, clarification though, your proposal, Mr. Gilly, is not contingent upon getting the grant.
No, we're gonna pursue that, but
We're
if we
gonna pursue
don't,
it.
I still wanna cover it if we have to.
Okay, so that we would cover it regardless of whether we get the grant, the free lunches and breakfast.
Yes, I guess yeah.
All right.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, just as, and I don't have all the details, but just remember there's federal implications with this program. If you go this way, you may lose federal money depending on how the numbers
right.
work out, and it is impossible to know what that impact would be tonight. It could be on the E-rate side, and also Ms. Cole, remember, she mentioned something about that with her programs. So that's just something we got to be aware of. And I think that's where Ms. Cotton is talking about the new director. That would be all the options that they would be looking at to make those decisions.
There's more factors than just the food and school nutrition involved. So I would want that person to be on board with everything. And it's something we need to look at further as far as how it affects Randy's division, the federal division.
And our numbers may be advantageous or disadvantaged, whereas the neighboring counties, just the way their numbers work, that's the better way to do it than the other way.
Mr. Chairman, there's a lot of moving parts on this that's not been looked at. This is a really big decision, and I appreciate this being discussed, but there needs to be some things, I'm afraid, needs to be looked at a little closer of other changes and other things it's going to affect before moving forward, and it might need to come up again next month. But there needs to be some things looked at, because there's a lot of hidden things that we might not be aware of that's not been checked out yet.
It is a possibility, but like I said, we would need somebody to help make that decision that is looking at the whole district as a whole, not just food service, but as a whole. So that would be and then the director who is over the district needs to be a big part of that. And, if we approve these tonight, doesn't mean that we can't go that direction. It just means that we've covered ourselves as far as making up for what hasn't been done in 10 years. We needed to increase the prices to get to today's inflation, where we are today. So I would advise, maybe passing these, and then we can alter it later if we need to, just because we need to give, like I said, I would really like to have a director's opinion on this.
I think that would be my recommendation, Mr. Chairman, that we go ahead and approve what we have here tonight and then look into it further about Mr. Gillies' motion, and it may very well happen at a later date. We're not saying it's not gonna happen, but at least we'll be safe in this one as of right now.
Okay, well, we would need to, if we're gonna do that, we would need to withdraw the motion and vote on the price increase. So
Are we still in discussion?
we're still in discussion.
Just me personally, I'm not going to go for any kind of increase. It's uncalled for. If we have some kind of issue because of the raises, then that's just the least, that's a little bit of money we're coming off of 141 to the 143 budget to cover. While we hope we pursue these other things, I'm just, that's where I'm at. If I need to withdraw the motion and just vote the way I need to vote, that's fine. If that's what you request, Mr. Chair, but otherwise we can vote and let it fail. Either way.
It's your motion, so Ms.
I
Todd
couldn't-
seconded it.
If you request me to withdraw, I'll withdraw that motion at this time, but I will not make another motion.
Then we would you be okay with withdrawing the motion?
Yes.
Okay. So if you withdraw the motion, then we can get a motion from somebody to approve the price increase. Do you withdraw the motion, Mr. Gilly?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So the motion has been withdrawn. So I would need a motion to approve the price increase at this time.
I make the motion to approve the price increase as we see it before us at this time.
Okay. Ms. Yinch, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Coon seconds. All right. Discussion on this. We have a motion to approve the price increase as presented to us.
Ms. Cotton, could we leave it the way that it is now till do we have to raise it? Can we leave it where it's at until we get some clarification on some of this stuff?
Oh, we could, but I was just gonna go ahead, since we were under budget. I wanted a solution to that, so that's why I presented it this time. And we can't increase prices without board approval.
No, I understand, yeah.
I'm gonna agree with Mr. Hansard. Write that down, everybody. I agree with him.
Thank you, Robert.
Duly noted and recorded on video.
See, we're making headway.
Yes, you are.
No, I just, thank you, Robert. I don't, because of the federal thing that I talked about during the work session, we've got a lot of issues that's coming up with the federal government right now, and you know, I know we'd have to go back and make another motion on it, but it was just an idea instead of raising it. Because I've been involved in the backpack program, and I know 50 cents don't seem like a whole lot, but it's a great big deal to some people, but.
I agree. I just know we haven't increased it in a long time.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, and I agree. With a lot of stuff it's changing in with the getting rid of the federal government, board, education and federal board of education. There's a lot of issues that's going to be coming up, and we're going to have a new superintendent here in a couple of months, and then we could go back and revisit this, and that's just a.
Well, one of the reasons I did go ahead and put it on there is because all the principals send out agendas.
Yes, ma'am.
And they have to turn in what they put in their agenda in May or June. And so every year they're asking me, what are the prices? What are the prices? What are the prices? And, I've been keeping it the same. But
Yes, ma'am.
if we're going to change it, I want that to be put out in the new agenda, because that goes to every student at the beginning of the year, and
Yes,
it goes
ma'am.
home to the parents. So I just thought, if we're going to put it, I don't want to put anything. I'd rather put nothing than have it incorrect. So,
ma'am.
if we go ahead and put it in there and it ends up free, well, then that'll be fine. But if I don't put the price increase, that might not be the best. I don't know. How do you all feel about that? It's, yeah, whatever you decide.
It's an idea. I mean, like I said, it's up for discussion. What other board members think,
Well, I think for your sake, I think it would give you more peace of mind to know that you're going into this with the increase. Now, if you find that you have a lot of parents coming back at you saying, I can't afford this increase, please get back with the board, because then possibly we could look at the board making supplement to take it back to the old place again. I don't know. We would need to know the reaction of who can still afford it. Do you see a steady drop off in the number of kids now who are not eating because of the increase?
Right. Well, and I will say this is pretty much in line with the rest of the state. I looked at other schools, and you would have to look really hard to find something that's a lot less than this, because, you can't eat lunch anywhere for $3. You can't get a hamburger for $3.
Yeah.
So, even though it is 50, I know that's a lot for some people. It still is very reasonable overall.
Well, I can see how you wrestle with it.
Oh, it's hard, yes.
All right, any other discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
how many other districts near us or around us are providing their meals for free?
I know several are. Tullahoma is, Franklin County, Bedford, so, yes. But Manchester City is not. we're sort of in the same position. We're right on the line as far as numbers go with free and reduced. That makes it all the difference.
Thank you.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is to approve the price increase as presented to us. Any further discussion? All right, with that, Mr. Gilly,
No.
Mr. Cordell,
Yes.
Ms. Yinch,
Yes.
Mr. Hansard,
No.
Ms. Hodge,
No.
Ms. Matthews,
Aye.
Mr. Coon.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 3. That passes. Sure I got it right? 2, 3. Yes, 5 to 3. All right. All right. Next item on the agenda is textbook adoption. This was pulled off the consent agenda last month at the request of Ms. Yinch and to do some further review. And so it's back on the agenda this month. I think everybody's had a chance to look that over. So I would need a motion to accept the textbook recommendations from the textbook committee for this year. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Mr.
second.
Cordell and Mr. Coon. Okay. All right. The motion is to accept the textbook recommendations from the textbook committee for this year. Any discussion? Ms. Inch, are you happy with?
Yeah, I feel better after getting a chance to look over some of the books and
Okay. Any discussion? All right. Let us vote on that. Mr. Cordell?
Yeah, aye.
Ms. Inch?
aye.
Mr. Hansard?
Aye.
Ms. Hodge?
Aye.
Ms. Matthews?
Aye.
Mr. Coon?
Aye.
Mr. Gilly?
Aye.
And chair votes aye. That passes 8-0. Okay. Next item up is the 5-year plan committee, and we discussed this briefly in the retreat last week and really decided the best way to do this was to put together a committee to really take what is kind of a narrative document and convert it into SMART goals or however you want to do it, results-based goals. And we attempted this like a year and a half ago or so when Kathy Rose was on the board, and we had one meeting and it didn't get too far. So
I drew a lot of pictures on the wall.
yeah, we had a lot of pictures on the wall. That's right. And so we thought the best way to tackle this would be to put together a committee to make recommendations on that. And it's probably going to take a little bit of work to put this together. So first I'd like to see, who's interested in being on the committee, and then we would basically approve that committee and pick a chair and then start having meetings. So is anybody interested in being on that committee? So how's your strategic planning skill?
I have great planning skills, but I also have 3 babies, so count me out.
Okay. Anybody down there? Everybody slinking down in their chair?
Could we do that, make it like a work session to do that?
Yeah, but it's probably gonna be multiple work sessions because when you're doing a strategic planning document, it's probably gonna be an iterative, a little bit of a process to go along, so. I mean, I would volunteer myself for the committee, to do that, but we're gonna need I could volunteer for Rita too, since she's not here. That's the danger of not being here at the meeting. You get put on committees. Or we could just leave the document as is.
I think my feelings on it is, we're about the only school district around here that even has committees anymore. And that, I mean, that'd be something that we're all gonna be involved in. We all need to be involved in, I would say. I don't know how we could do that, and maybe having a work session or something. I'm just,
Everybody mark it up and send it to me.
Yeah, we could do that,
Yeah,
and
I
what we
think
could do is, one way to do that, Mr. Hansard, might be to, have everybody look at the document, put together what they want to see for objectives and pile it on poor Melissa.
God bless you.
And kind of, put it in one place to compile it, and then we could just kind of work on it that way, and then pull together a couple work sessions to finalize the document. So that might be, a good way to do it. Would that be?
I personally would be fine with that. I think it's a big deal for, we got to bring it all back to all of us anyway.
Yeah. Now, we do need to have this 5-year plan. It's a state required document.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
it
Or
needs
yes,
to
sir.
be a 5-year plan, and needs to be looked at, every 2 years, I think? I think it's every 2 years.
Probably where you're gonna put your goals.
Yeah, you gotta review it every few years, I think, so.
Mr. Chair, I think when we done this the other day and discussed it, it was the reason we put it off was to wait on the incoming director, because obviously he might have a little bit of say of
Right.
direction and goals.
Right, although the contract specifies that the new director's gonna develop a strategic plan, so we got the 5-year plan.
Well, you're talking, that's two different things. Strategic plan and 5-year plan is two
Right.
different things.
Right. So,
Am I correct?
Yes, strategic that the director does.
right,
He's supposed to develop.
so we can kick the can down the road. Now, do we need to formally approve the plan to kick it down the road, or,
Your only agenda item is for a committee.
yeah,
So if you don't want to form a committee to do it, then you're kicking it down the road till you're ready to do it.
all right. Well, I think, I agree with Mr. Hansard. Maybe we just kind of start compiling stuff, and then when we bring the new director on, then kind of work with them on that. So let's kind of do that direction. So homework assignment for everybody to look at the light reading of the 5-year plan and come up with some ideas.
I never did turn in my homework.
That doesn't surprise me. All right, so no action on that, on agenda item 6. Then, so the next item up is the furniture bid. And Mr. Shores and Dr. Powell?
Can we
This
just
has been
make a
brought up
motion?
several times, and I need to let Mr. Shores address it at this point in time, because it's gonna depend on what part of this furniture bid you want to use, all of it, or part of it, or what we've looked at in the past. I think that's basically what we're looking for right now, is we're ready for all of it if you so desire.
Okay, it was discussed at the spring retreat. There is 3 different parts here. This is the high school, the cost center, and also the central office. It is broken up that way. I can honestly say all 3 of these areas need the furniture, but it's up to the board on what direction you want to go. If you want to do 1, 2, or all 3 sections, and we'll go any one of them. But there is a need in all 3 sections.
Can you give us a total on doing all 3?
The complete project is $136,168.76.
Okay.
And April she had to leave because of where she's at and what's going on. And she did say that we can cover that with the furniture, the money that's budgeted in the furniture. There's still enough there to cover that amount.
I would need a motion to approve the furniture bid.
I make a motion that we approve all the furniture at this time.
Okay.
I second that motion.
So Ms. Hinch and Mr. Cordell. All right, so the motion is to approve the entire furniture bid. Do we have any discussion? I know, Ms. Matthews, you had some, this is back on the agenda because of your request.
Yes. I I don't really have anything. I think I said everything the other day, so I don't think I have anything to add to that. I obviously think we need the furniture, so.
Yeah, we talked most of these things through pretty good last Thursday.
We did. We covered a lot of ground.
All right. Well, if there's no further discussion, then, and I forget where we're at, Mr. Cordell, we're gonna vote on this, to approve the furniture, all the furniture.
Aye.
Ms. Yinch.
Aye.
Mr. Hansard.
No.
Ms. Hodge.
Aye.
Ms. Matthews.
Aye.
Mr. Kuhn.
Aye.
Mr. Gilly.
Aye.
And I will vote aye. That passes 7-1. Next up is the paving bid at the high school. Mr. Shores and Dr. Powell.
Mr. Shores, I'll turn this back over to you again, please.
Okay. I did contact Tinsley Asphalt and asked them the question that Ms. Yinch had asked as far as being able to get the job done if this was passed during the summertime and the date that was set, which was I think June 30th. And he said yes, they could and would. So, and they would hold to or honor this bid. And I think everything else was discussed at the spring retreat. If you have any questions after a motion and a second, I'll be glad to try to answer them.
And Dr. Powell, you have recommendations on this?
Yes, sir. I'd recommend Tinsley doing the high school bid on the paving, striping, storm drainage project as presented.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the paving bid from Tinsley?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the CHS paving, striping, storm drainage project at Coffee County Central High School and go with the bid of Tinsley Asphalt for
Okay.
$272,000.
Mr. Gilly makes the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Hodge seconds. All right. So the motion is to approve the Tinsley bid for the paving. Discussion.
Mr. Chair, there is one more thing that the Ms. Melson mentioned, and the amendment was already taken to and is taken care of. And the price actually that we received is a few $100s less than what the amendment was for. So we're actually, the money's already there to take care of the paving job.
Okay. Any discussion? We hammered this pretty good in the work session last week. Okay. No discussion. Ms. Yinch.
Aye.
Mr. Hansard.
No.
Ms. Hodge.
Aye.
Ms. Matthews.
Aye.
Mr. Kuhn.
Aye.
Mr. Gilly.
Aye.
Mr. Cordell.
Aye.
I will vote aye also. That passes 7-1. All right. Next item on the agenda is a demographer. And Mr. Shores again and Dr. Powell.
Yes, sir. I think Mr. Shores has taken care of this, so I'll let him present it, please.
Okay, of course, this is going back to the decision for Hickerson and also East Coffee on what to do as far as do we need the extra classrooms, do we not? What direction do we go to the county commission with? And this is just pulling more data and more information together. Von Dirks with Wold was the one that actually reached out with the RFP. He and I were together on things, but he actually sent it out. And his recommendation is to go with Hazel Reinhardt for a base fee of $9,800. And you have the documentation. I had emailed it to you the other day with tons of information. So I hope you had time to look through it. But he felt that Ms. Reinhardt would be the direction to go.
Okay. So, Dr. Powell, your recommendation?
I had a question for Mr. Shores. Where is the Hazel Reinhardt organization?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look it
I'm
up.
not sure what this says. It says To be determined only
Okay.
if travel is needed. What does that mean?
It's actually their organization is out of Minnesota. She basically put on here that she could do it through Zoom unless we want her to be here. If we want her to come and actually do a presentation to the board, then it's going to cost bringing her down. So the additional cost that she put would be only if travel is needed to be determined. And that is if we wanted to bring her all the way from Minnesota to do the presentation. Otherwise, she would be glad to do it through Zoom and take care of it that way. Does that answer your question, Dr. Powell?
Yes, sir.
All right. I need a motion to approve the demographer, and based on Mr. Shores and Dr. Powell's recommendation, that would probably be Hazel Reinhardt, but I guess if somebody has different thoughts, we can entertain that also as in a motion. But
Can you just make a motion to accept the, what did you call him? Demographer? Demographer. And then we can discuss about the different groups. Can that be done?
I didn't understand, discuss what?
The different groups that are available, like instead of just making the motion where we put Hazel Reinhardt in as a part of the motion, just to make a motion to agree to a demographer and then decide through discussion which one to go with.
My,
Is that possible?
My suggestion would be to actually make a motion to the one that you feel like would be the most appropriate, and then you could go into discussion. Then you might do an amendment to the motion to make a change to the to that motion, and then of course you would have to vote it through the amendment. Then you go back to the main motion with the new amendment, and then you'd vote through that direction.
I haven't had enough tea for that.
I'm not sure.
I mean, that's
No,
the only way I
get
know
it.
you can do what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not sure that, we may not have enough information to discuss each one of these and what their capabilities are. We're assuming, I guess, Ms. Beth, that Hazel Reinhardt has the capability of doing this project.
I agree. The only thing is I do notice that Harpeth is more, but they are a Tennessee company, so I think they'd have a better indication of what growth is like in the state of Tennessee than someone coming from Minnesota. That's my only observation.
well, you can make a motion if you want to approve somebody different.
And the reason why I sent the entire information, I mean, this is the whole packet. So that's the reason why it's not in your packets.
Right.
There's a whole lot of information, and I'd have to actually read back through to see exactly what they said about the one you were talking about. But I do know that Wold has worked with, that was one of the things that they were looking at, was who they have worked with before. And some of these they have, some they have not, and I'd have to actually read back through to see who they had worked with. But I understand also, I like to keep it as local as possible, and if they're from Tennessee, I understand that.
It does say in here that the $14,000 includes the expenses involved on the on-site meetings, presentations, and mileage.
For which one is that? Oh,
Harpeth Research.
Harpeth, okay.
I've done, had some, dealings with Harpeth, and they're really good. I believe they're out of Franklin, so they're, I mean, I'm sure that they probably work with Ms. Reinhardt a lot, so they're gonna pitch her, so. Of course, that's why they're gonna use her, but that's my opinion, but.
I think the reason why he said that he was picking her was because she was the cheaper of the ones on here. She has the lower cost. He really, I don't think, had any problem. The Harpeth Research, this is what Harpeth Research has worked with our government practice group on justice and detention projects. They can also provide enrollment projections, but have less experience than the other solicited. So they have less experience in it, but they have worked with them, but it's on a governmental part rather than a school part.
All All right, thank you for that information. So I would need a motion to approve one of these, I guess.
And I have no problem going with Harper, if that's the will of the board.
So they have used, Gould has used her quite a bit with school systems, then, is what you're telling me.
No, I'm actually, I need to read through and tell you. Let me find where it's at here. Each of these companies is great to work with, and you would be very happy with any of these responses and information they will provide, which makes this a no-risk situation. Given that, our recommendation would be to engage Hazel Reinhardt for the base fee of $9,800. So that sounds like to me is basically because it was a lower bid. She did note the potential for travel, which I just went through. So if she had to travel here, it would cost more on that part, but she could do it through a Google Meet or Zoom, something down that line. So, but according to what he's saying, it's a no, I mean, you're not gonna mess up either way. Anyone that you want to pick.
All right, you've heard Mr. Shores and Dr. Powell. Do we have a motion? No motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept Harpeth Research as a demographer.
Mr. Gilly motions to accept Harpeth Research as our demographer. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Ms. Yentz seconds that. Any further discussion? We've kind of,
The only reason I done that is I agree with the Tennessee thing, and then we've got to have a demographer to get our numbers together to know if we're going to build buildings or not. So,
And the fact that they're out of Franklin means that they're pretty close, so they have an idea of what's pushing our way from Nashville and Murfreesboro.
The $5,000 difference ain't that bad
Right.
either, because it come from Minnesota to here, and by the time we put her up and plane flights and everything else and feed her, it's probably 5,000, so.
what is the possibility, Mr. Shores, of sharing this data with the county and getting some money from them?
Would have to ask the county.
Yeah, but I mean, would this be useful to the county, you think?
They've already got, I know.
Charge them for it.
I'd already, you know, the industrial board has got information that we need. You know, that's what I shared with everyone, so.
And Mr. Ballard, off of what Mr. Hanser just said, is they gave it to us free of what they had. I don't feel like it would be right for us to turn around and charge our county for something
Okay.
that we needed already, that we want to use with them. That's my own opinion,
Yeah.
but if they're willing to share things with us, I think we need to
All right,
go
all right.
back with it.
I was just saying if it was
I
something they
understand.
could, you know, that they
It
would
might be
not have
beneficial
otherwise.
to them,
Yeah.
and,
All right,
but if it is, to me, if we're gonna use it, we
Okay.
need to
yeah,
to share
just a
with them.
thought, yeah.
And
All
if
right.
this needs to be done, it needs to be done without, because they would have to go back through committee to get it passed and
Right.
back to the full commission, so that may delay it another 4 or 5 weeks minimum.
All right. So we just share it if we, you know, if we do it and we can share it, you know, so, because this would probably be useful because I know they've
Be a
been
good
struggling
gesture,
with some
yes,
of the
sir.
development issues and all that stuff themselves, so, all right,
But that
All right.
would be a decision of the board.
yeah. All right, so the motion on the table is to accept Harpeth Research as our demographer. Any further discussion? Mr. Hansert? Ms. Hodge?
Aye.
Ms. Matthews?
Aye.
Mr. Kuhn? Mr. Gilly?
Aye.
Mr. Cordell?
Aye.
Ms. Yinch?
Aye.
And I will vote aye. That passes 8-0. All right, the next item on the agenda is, we got a request from Ms. Parsley at Deerfield Elementary to extend their TISA outcomes-based funding for another year, right? So, all right. And That was the request, so,
Mr. Chair,
yes, sir.
I make a motion that we approve the request to extend the TISA outcome funding until June 2026 for Deerfield Elementary.
Till June 2026?
Yes.
That's what we did on the other two.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay,
I'll second that motion.
Mr. Gilly, Mr. Cordell, okay. Discussion, so the motion is to, extend, Deerfield's TISA funding until June of 2026. TISA outcomes-based funding.
Mr. Chairman, I want to commend Ms. Parsley and Deerfield because they were moving forward and doing what was set forth. And their request is due to a savings that they were able to pull to no fault to the admin team there. This is something really good that happened to them that they don't want to blow and waste the money. They want to use it wisely, and I want to commend them for what they've done.
Definitely appreciate that. Dr. Powell, your recommendation?
Yes, sir, I recommend this, please.
All right. Any further discussion? All right, Ms. Hodge,
Aye.
Ms. Matthews,
Aye.
Mr. Coon,
Aye.
Mr. Gilly,
Aye.
Mr. Cordell.
Aye.
Ms. Inch.
Aye.
Mr. Hansard.
Aye.
And I will vote aye. That passes 8-0. All right. Last item on the agenda, or the regular agenda, is our budget update. So, and April is gone.
Off right now.
Okay.
Daughter's in the middle.
That's fine. So, Dr. Powell, do you,
Nope.
No, sir, I think you have this information in front of you, and it's just a matter of approving it because it's where it is, and I don't think there's any changes that's been made in it, so
You
we're
wouldn't hurt
okay
my
with it at
feelings
this point in
moving on.
time.
yeah. All right, then I need a motion to approve the budget update.
So move.
Mr. Gilly,
I'll second.
I second.
Mr. Coon seconds. All right, any discussion on the budget update? We don't really have anybody here to ask questions of, so. All right, so, Ms. Matthews,
Aye.
Mr. Coon,
Aye.
Mr. Gilly.
Aye.
Mr. Cordell,
Aye.
Ms. Inch,
Aye.
Mr. Hansard,
Aye.
Ms. Hodge.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. That passes 8-0. Okay. Now we have our items for discussion, so we can start with Ms. Hodge. Free form, whatever you want to say.
All right. I haven't had time to really think about this much. I do want to congratulate Miss Leah Parsley. Someone told me that you received a TMEA award for Outstanding Elementary School Administrator of the Year, and we are so proud to have you. So thank you very, very much for all your work. Congratulations.
All right.
And our hearts go out to our third graders as they embark on these ELA TCAP tests this week. There's been a lot of hype about it, and I really hope that they all make it through without their little hearts being too stressed out. It just makes me so sad that they're so worried about it. And that's about it.
All right, Ms. Matthews.
Well, I wasn't prepared to say anything, but congratulations, Leah. And yeah, good luck to all of our awesome students and teachers in the next couple weeks of testing. So that's all I have.
Mr. Coon.
I'd like to give a shout out to all of our Teacher of the Year winners for doing an excellent job in their field. I assume that that's voted on by their peers. I'm not really sure. Students, who voted for them, but apparently they're very, very good at their job, and I'd just like to give them another round of applause for the hard work that they put into educating the children of our district.
Mr. Gilly.
I'm gonna pass tonight, boss. I'm tired.
You okay, Robert?
I just want to thank our teachers and our staff, our team. What a team we have in Coffee County. It's an honor to serve on this board, to represent our teachers, our staff, our faculty, and whatever. And I'm thankful for this opportunity to help make their lives better. We're investing in them, and they're investing in the county. So I'm so appreciative and so thankful for our team. And let's be in prayer for our teachers and our system, our staff, and that we have wisdom and discernment in what's best for our county, for our whole team and our students. Thank y'all.
Beth?
Gary stole my thunder, but I would put our teachers, all of our staff up against any county around. We are very, very blessed in the personnel that we have, and I'm just really grateful.
Mr. Hansard?
I'd like to thank the teachers as well, and Leah. I congratulate you, and I'd like to thank God that we made it through our prom without any catastrophes or any accidents or anything. That's a blessing in itself. But that's pretty much all that I've got.
And for my part, I'd like to remind everybody that we are doing candidate interviews next week. And so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then we will have a work session on the following Monday on the 28th, followed by a special called board meeting to select and approve the candidate and offer the contract that we just generally approved tonight. And so next week next 2 weeks are gonna be pretty darn busy, but I'm looking forward to it. We have a number of questions we came up with, both TSBA recommended questions and questions that different board members had. We're putting those in a pool, and we're gonna basically kind of randomly assign them to, make it, as unbiased as possible, I guess, is how we work that out. And so we'll be working on that. Melissa's working on that, so that's coming up next week. So we can steel ourselves for that. And the one thing we did not do that got left off the agenda is the principals report. And we have a few principals here who have really hung in there. So let's do the principals report. So I guess we just got Ms. Parsley and Ms. Parsley and Mr. Parsley. So. There's a microphone up here too, so, yeah.
Front and center.
Yeah.
I've always got something about Deerfield, so.
I'm sorry, we were trying to put you at the beginning, but we left you off the agenda. I totally missed it.
We had a busy month at Deerfield. We had the Nashville Opera come do a performance for us. Miss Mary McCartney arranged for the opera to come. It's something I'd never seen before, and it was really neat. It was just, that's the best way to describe it. It was really neat. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The second grade went to Nashville Zoo. We had Q3 citizenship rewards, so everybody can work on their citizenship and their behavior and try to be a great representative of Deerfield. So those that excel in that, we recognize them every month, every quarter. We celebrated our paraprofessionals on April 2nd. We had a taco bar and we got a gift for them. We could not survive without those people. They're such a huge part of our school. We had our spring concert, and Miss Mary McCartney again organized that. She had the second and fourth grade and some of the ukulele club there, and Miss Frida Jones was able to join us. And I gave her a tour of the school afterwards, so I really enjoyed that. I love showing off the building because it is beautiful. The ukulele club performed at the Autumn Oaks on Saturday. That was great. She takes the club around to do performances. They performed at the Old Timers Day, Autumn Oaks, various places in town. We had math night organized by Janice Talley, and a lot of people showed up. We have had our academic pep rally last week. We had Easter lunch with the second and fourth grade families, and Dr. Powell visited us that day and had dinner, and then I gave him a tour of the school. And if you hear that we've had the President of the United States visit Deerfield, Dr. Powell was asked more than once by the kindergarten students if he was President of the United States. So there you go. But he visits, Miss Yitz visits us too, and I gave her a tour of the school. So if any of you want a tour of Deerfield, just come on out. I'll be happy to give you a tour. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful place. It is. We had our Easter egg hunts. That's always an adventure in elementary school. First grade went to the zoo as well. We had a TCAP pep rally, so we've got the kids pretty pumped up. The third graders said the third grade's nervous, but we've really tried to encourage them to try their best and put forth their best efforts. So they're pretty excited about it. So I feel good about that they're not just overly overwhelmed with it. So we're trying to encourage them to do their best and just do their best. I mean, that's all we can ask of them. And, of course, we're in the middle of state testing, so that's what we got going on at Deerfield.
All right, thank you.
I encourage anybody who can to visit Deerfield. It is a gorgeous school. I was just blown away. Gorgeous.
Just wait till we fix the potholes.
I did notice those going in.
Bring your go-kart with you because it's a long way around that building.
All right, good evening.
Evening.
At the high school, we are in preparation for lots of testing that begins tomorrow. We'll begin with some state dual credit testing for U.S. history, and also we begin some of our end-of-course testing, our state testing for English tomorrow, and that would be for English 2, and it's in multiple parts. There are, I believe, 8 days of end-of-course testing, and those are scattered over the next couple of weeks. There are 5 days of state dual credit testing scattered over the next couple of weeks. And in addition to that, we have many, many AP classes, as you know, at the high school, and that testing will begin on May the 5th and pretty much run right through semester exams. There are so many AP courses that those tests are scattered for about 3 weeks or a little bit more. I do want to draw your attention to the organization that goes into all of that testing. For each classroom, you know, we may have 20 up to 25 students in those rooms that are testing for all these various AP tests, state dual credit test, end of course test. Mr. Jason Creek is our testing and instructional coordinator. He's got a really difficult job this time of year, and I'm just amazed at his ability to keep everything together and be prepared for meetings with our staff that are administering those tests. He had a couple of meetings after school today with various staff members that will administer tests tomorrow and at later days. And again, I just really proud to have him on board at the high school. I believe this is about his 9th year with us, and I just can't say enough about the work that he does. Also want to mention that we have lots of senior activities coming up. Of course, we've just got a little bit less than 5 weeks left in this school year. And so on May the 5th, we're a little bit out from that, but on May the 5th, we will have our senior graduation meeting with our senior class. And that'll be in our theater. It'll be pretty much their last meeting in the theater, and we'll talk with them about expectations for commencement. And so that time is upon us. We also, the very next day on May 6th, our seniors will visit their elementary schools from about 8 a.m. to around 10 a.m.-ish that morning, and they'll get to walk those halls, and they'll get to see the elementary students that attend there currently. And, you know, I think a lot of those elementary students just sort of look up at our seniors in awe. And so it's, you know, it's beneficial not only for our senior students to go to those elementary schools, but also for the elementary students to see them. We will have Senior Awards Day at the high school on Thursday, May the 8th. And I will be sure to get a formal invitation to you all for that. That'll begin at 9 a.m. And also, we have Yearbook Day coming up in about 3 weeks, and that'll be on Monday, May the 12th. And so just lots of important activities for seniors, not only for them, but for all of the students at the school coming up. Our student ambassador has a few other things to be shared momentarily, and that's Ms. Riley Clark. And I want to really just praise her for her commitment to not only student government, but to representing the school at these meetings, and just appreciate the work that she has done. Her time is almost finished at the high school as well. So,
We
any
appreciate having
questions?
her back. So, thank you.
Any questions for me?
So she's got a little knowledge on something that just took place?
Well, what is that? I'm not sure if I know
Football.
what that something is.
Football.
I'm sure she's got a little bit. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
sure she got a little bit. Yeah, yeah. Any questions for me? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, committee reports. We had policy committee, I think, and
We rocked out 17 policies and done a really good job. See you next time.
all right.
That'll be on May the 5th.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
had
May the 5th.
Yeah, we had compensation committee.
We'll send you an email. Don't get lost in all the other emails.
Okay.
May the 5th for policy.
And whatever, we had compensation committee, right? So we hashed out the budget options. Anything specific there?
We survived it. Let me just say that.
All right, student ambassador report then, and Riley, welcome back to, I want to know if the scope mock board meetings were anything like the board meetings that actually happened here.
It kind of is, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it was like, I was kind of like prepared when we started the like mock school board meeting because I'd been to so many. So I was like, oh, okay, this is like, okay.
I know how it goes.
Yeah. We have a lot of stuff going on. Theater had a wonderful performance of The Mystery of Edwin Drood last month. The Coral Spring production that took place from April 3rd to 6th, Discover Disney, was a huge success. Our girls basketball team went to state Thursday, March 13th at MTSU versus Bradley Central, where they closed out a very impressive year. Tennis has 2 matches this week. They play Tullahoma away this afternoon and Lawrence County at home on Thursday. Dance team had tryouts, and they have their new team picked out and ready to get working for next year. Boys soccer has had a very successful season so far, and they play Warren County at home tonight at 7. Baseball senior night was tonight against Lincoln County, and they're wrapping up the regular season and taking on the district tournament. Softball senior night is this Thursday at home versus Lincoln County. Our FBLA club went to their state leadership conference and competition on April 6th through 9th, and Sarah Weaver was elected for the state treasurer. Coffee County was the second largest chapter in attendance with nearly 90 students participating. Skills USA, we have a lot of people at the state conference right now. And we also have 2 guys that are running for state officer positions. I know for sure one of them already got it. I'm not sure about the other one, but it's very impressive. Congrats again to our color guard, and they have auditions this week coming up. And our student government, we had our You're So Golden Extravaganza Kindness Project. It went incredibly well and fell in line perfectly with our Rachel's Challenge Assembly. We have election campaigns coming up for the next school year next week, starting with student body officer elections on 4/25, class president elections on 5/2, and class rep elections on 5/8. And we had a great prom. So thank you to Miss Jaco and everyone that assisted her for all the work that they put in to make it such a success. That's all I have.
All right.
Thank
Any
you.
Thank
questions
y'all.
for Riley?
You look gorgeous at prom.
Oh,
I saw it on Thunder Radio.
Thank you so
I
much.
think. Really pretty.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
All right, next up is the director's report, followed by the capital projects update. So-
Yes, sir, don't have a whole lot, just the dates that you mentioned for interviews will be next week, and you've mentioned those. Special call board meeting on the 28th. I believe you mentioned that. We want to say that most of the elementary schools have been testing this week. They'll be testing again next week, depending on the grade level. So that's going strong. I would like to commend the students that went to Scope this year. This was something that I think was a tradition several years ago, and then it somehow got dropped off a little bit, but we're glad to have those kids back again. And I think they seem to enjoy it. I've been to it several different times, but I appreciate that. Just keep Frida in your mind. She's having some health issues and not sure what's going to come out of it. She's got to have some tests, I think, next week. So just keep her in mind if you don't mind in your thoughts and prayers. And I know time is approaching quickly. It's going to be quicker than you think for. We have a policy meeting on May the 5th. The 7th is fifth grade field day at the Raider Academy, and if you have a time to come out and see that, that's when all the fifth grade students will get together to have a field day that day, weather permitting, and I hope things will go fine that day. Mr. Parsley mentioned about Ward's Day on the 8th. We have another board meeting. The regular board meeting will be on the 13th of May, and then Virtual Academy will be having their graduation on the 22nd at 7 o'clock. You may have gotten some information from Mr. Johnson on that, but that'll be at 7 o'clock, the Virtual Academy graduation. And then graduation for our high school seniors will be on May the 23rd. So all of you trying to keep those dates in mind because you're all invited and urged to be in attendance that night. And we certainly I appreciate the fact that we had a good work session, a good retreat the first part of the week, last week. Board meeting, I think, went smooth, very smooth tonight, and that's good. I appreciate that from all of you. Thank you.
Mr. Shores. Oh,
If you haven't turned it in, okay, if you haven't turned in your board scholarship money, be sure to give that to Melissa. And I don't know, does Mr. Ballard normally give that scholarship?
Yes.
Okay,
I said I
you'll
didn't
present
do it,
that?
yeah.
Yes, sir, and that will be on May the 8th. It's on a Thursday. It starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. And all of you, again, as Mr. Parks said, are welcome to be at the awards day. That's a big ceremony for the students. A lot of scholarships and a lot of funds are given out that day for our students and recognizing their talents throughout the last 4 to 5 years.
Who knows, you might see a rare sighting of me with a tie on.
Sir?
You might see a rare sighting of me with a tie on. You never can tell. All right, Mr. Shores, capital projects update.
Okay, with capital projects, we had the window laminate. It's going up still. It's just takes a lot of time. It's a lot of windows. It's getting it. CTE door access to the main building from the CTE building. That is up and working and it's been installed. Door hardware and doors at East Coffee, the high school, Hillsboro, and New Union have been purchased, and we're waiting for delivery for those to be installed. And if you're wondering where it's at, East Coffee, Hillsboro, East Coffee is going into the gym, Hillsboro going into the gym, New Union is going into the cafeteria, and then at the high school it's going into Angie Prater's room due to some situations there. We've got materials ordered for the high school track. That's been started on some of the things that they need materials. And of course we have the project of the lighting. Wold came out with some representatives to start pulling information together for the lighting for athletic fields, also looking at the partitions and the doors for the high school. So they're starting to work on that. That was done during spring break. A few more things that's coming up it's in works. Of course, the high school bleachers, the renovations to those, the theater steps, the putting nose piecing on the steps. We've had problems in the past, and hopefully that's going to take care of those problems. Press box awning, that's putting an awning at the end of the press box at the Cardinal Gerald Stadium. We were having water getting into the press box, and we've got that taken care of, but the awnings should help prevent more water getting in there and making more damage. So hopefully that will take care of that part as well. Any questions?
Any questions from Mr. Shores? All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Mr. Gilly,
Second that.
Mr. Cordell, all in favor,